Hi, I'm Mrs. Robinson and I normally deliver the food GCSE. So I'm just going to talk you through a little bit about course, what we cover and how it's assessed. Okay, so the first thing that I'll talk to you about is the course content. So it's divided up into 5 sections. We've got food, nutrition and health. We've got food science, food safety, food choice, and food provenance. These are all areas that we've looked at in a small amount of detail at Key Stage 3 when you've done cooking and nutrition on the DT carousel. The food option is just food in itself. It's not mixed in with textiles, resistant materials, or any of the other materials like it was at Key Stage 3. We just focus on food, preparation skills, and looking at diet, health, and nutrition. So we've got food, nutrition, and health, which is covered in both the exam paper, which is worth 50% of the grade. That's sat at the end of year 11. And it's an hour and 45-minute written paper, and that tests your theory of like I say, nutrition, as well as all of the other theory areas of food. You do 2 NEA tasks. One of them is NEA 1. This is worth 15% of the GCSE. We'll make a start on that in September of year 11, and that takes us about 8 weeks to do. That task looks at food science, so that's about the working characteristics of ingredients. So the science behind them, what they're made up of, for example, what is protein made up of, what carbohydrates and fats made up of, how do they work within dishes, how do they work with each other, what are the chemical properties of those ingredients. So we'll look at things like enzymic browning of fruit or caramelization of sugars. We'll look at things like raising agents and how they work within recipes. You complete a report on that one, which is about 1,500 to 2,000 words. Both of the NEAs are based around practical work. So you plan and you carry out food science investigations, and it's a bit like your science experiments that you'll have done at Key Stage 3. So you will, for example, with enzymic browning, you might look at different fruits and how browning affects them differently. You might look at how to stop browning. So we might look at wrapping them in different things, or adding heat or taking away heat, or you might look at applying acids to that. It could be that you look at raising agents and which raising agent works best within a cake mixture, for example. An experiment with chemical raising agents like baking powder or mechanical raising agents, so whisking and beating and different things like that. So you plan the experiment, you carry out those practical investigations, and you take photographic evidence, and then you record your results, and you write a brief evaluation of what you found out and why you think that happened. For NEA 2, this is worth 35% of your grade, and we start that in the November. That takes us up until about Easter time. And this one is looking at your food preparation skills. So it's a very practical task. Obviously, it's quite a big chunk of time. You produce a portfolio with this one as well. You are given a brief from the exam board, so you'll be asked to choose from one of 3 briefs, and that could be anything like this year is food from American cuisine, North or South American cuisine, looking at foods that are high in calcium, or looking at plant-based diet. And it changes every year, but there's always something based around a special diet or a life stage, something about a nutritional need, or something about a cuisine or a culture. Like I said, this year it's America, last year it was Italy, it's been Asian cuisine in the past, and British cuisine. So it does change, but it's always a really popular and engaging task, this one. So for this students, research the brief that they've chosen. They come up with a list of possible dishes, 8 to 10 possible dishes, and then they go on and they make 4 of those trial dishes. And this is kind of a skills showcase. So you've got to demonstrate your knife skills. You've got to demonstrate using equipment, weighing accurately, measuring accurately, preparing and cooking a range of different ingredients, making things from scratch, so sauce making, dough making, using marinades, using raisin agents, all of those things. Now, to prepare you for this, when you start the option in year 10, we spend that first year in year 10 looking at all of these skills in detail. So we do different modules. So we'll go through knife skills. You'll portion chicken and fillet fish. You'll do veg preparation. So you'll learn about all the different chefy cuts like julienne and brunoise. We'll do things like shaping burgers or falafel, things like piping meringues, for example. We make doughs from scratch, so you'll learn how to make a variety of different breads, pastas, pastries, for example. We'll make different sauces like white sauces, roux, bechamel, reduction tomato sauces, fruit coulis. We will learn how to make marinades. So we'll marinate tofu, vegetables, meat, fish, for example. And then we put all of those skills together and you gradually create more and more complex dishes. Now, it's a bit different at GCSE because we get 3 lessons a week and one of those is a double lesson. So we can make much more complex complex dishes than we did at Key Stage 3. So things like a lemon meringue pie, for example, that we never would have had time to make in the past. And we might make stuffed ravioli with a sauce and side, like salads or flatbreads and things like that. So it opens up a lot more possibilities to us, and you really get to grips with a lot of practical skills. While we're doing that, we cover all of those other topics that are covered in the exam paper as well. So we'll look at nutrition and health and how that links in with the ingredients that we're using and the recipes that we're making. We'll look at the food science. So again, how do those things work within that recipe? Food safety, so you preparing yourself to cook, you being able to use a food probe and check for readiness with food, avoiding cross-contamination and food poisoning from occurring. We look at storage of food and different elements of food safety in that sense as well. With food choice, this one is looking at things like why people choose to eat food, looking at special diets, looking at how religion might affect food choice. Again, it's all things that we've touched upon really briefly at Key Stage 3, but we look into in much more detail. We'll look at like how social media influencers or peers might influence food choice, for example. And then food provenance is where your food comes from. So we'll look at where our ingredients come from, how they're grown or caught or reared. We will look at how food is processed. We'll look at what different manufacturing processes it goes through until it reaches our plate. We look at different elements of food provenance like organic produce and genetically modified ingredients as well. So all of that we will learn, like I say, as we go through and we do those practical elements. So NEA 2, which is the second one, like I say, that takes us quite a chunk of year 11, culminates in you presenting 3 dishes in 3 hours. So it's exam conditions, you create a time plan, you have to make everything from scratch as much as possible to achieve a high grade. So all of your doughs, batters, sauces, etc., demonstrate your knife skills. You need to photograph the work and get people to test it and give you feedback, and then you analyse your results and suggest improvements. So NEA 1, the food science investigation, and NEA 2, the food practical assessment, that makes up half of the grade, 50%. Like I said, the other 50% is the written assessment at the end of year 11. So on the PowerPoint, I've put a few examples of our knowledge organisers, just so you can have a little look in more detail at those different topics, the different areas that we cover. Okay, and then at the end, I've just put a little bit of information about where the course can take you. So like I said, the theory and practical elements in year 10 that we run alongside different people who come in to visit. So we've had this year the Royal Navy come in. We've had chefs from places like Ramside come in previously and do some work with us, and we've done kind of competitions, cooking competitions. They've done skills with us. So we've had people in showing us how to portion chicken, for example, or how to cook fresh fish, how to choose fresh fish. We've had deliveries of salmon in the last year and mussels as well. So it's given us a chance to work with ingredients that you might not have tried before. We have had a nutritionist do a question and answer session with us and a talk to learn a little bit more about nutrition and careers linked to food as well. So we have lots of good kind of hands-on experience with industry as well. If you're thinking about doing food as an option, it might be that you're thinking about a career in food. So it might be that you're wanting to go on to college to do an apprenticeship for a career in catering or in the food industries. There are so many different jobs, different careers within the food industry. We won't go into them, but it's not just about if you're wanting to be a chef. There's lots of things linked to food safety, food microbiology, food testing and development, obviously nutrition, diet and health, which is huge at the minute, and a really growing industry. Lots of other people choose to take food as a GCSE because it gives you life skills. It equips you with the skills to be able to prepare nutritious meals, to look after yourself and your family when you're older, maybe when you go off to university, to make sure that you can cook fresh, nutritious meals and that you can keep yourself healthy. So it's really good for equipping you with those life skills about nutrition and food preparation. If you are interested in the course and you've got any more questions, then feel free to catch me in school or send me an email and I'll answer any questions that you have. If you're interested in the course but you're worried about the cost of it, we do try to provide as many ingredients as we can. If you're working in group work or we're doing the food science investigations, for example, then we will provide you with the ingredients that you need. If you can't get hold of ingredients, same as Key Stage 3, just let me know and we can arrange something for you. So don't let that be a barrier to you choosing food as an option. Okay, thank you for your time. Good luck with your options.